Boeing P-8 Poseidon patrol planes. Now a Navy killer and a bomber? The U.S. Navy wants to arm its Boeing P-8 Poseidon patrol planes with new anti-ship missiles, plus precision-guided bombs, mines and aerial decoys. If the fleet follows through on the plan, the Navy will acquire its first new bomber aircraft in generations. The last A-6 bombers left the fleet in the late 1990s. The jet-propelled P-8, which rapidly is replacing older propellor-driven P-3s in Navy squadrons, already carries anti-submarine torpedoes, Harpoon anti-ship missiles and Standoff land attack missiles expanded response, or SLAM-ERs. But now the Navy wants to add long-range anti-ship missiles, joint direct attack munitions, small-diameter bombs, Mark 62, 63, 65 mines and miniature air-launched decoys. The fleet announced the addition in a February 2020 solicitation to industry. The new weapons greatly would expand the kinds of targets the P-8 can attack. The Poseidon is a modified 737NG airliner with a new wing, military sensors and communications, as well as an internal weapons bay and wing pylons for munitions. With its current loadout, the P-8 can strike ships and land targets more than 150 miles away, plus submarines at shorter distances. Adding LRASM would extend the Poseidon's striking range to greater than 200 miles for sea targets. JDAM and SDB, while more limited in range than SLAM-ER is, would give P-8 crews the option of striking coastal installations and supporting ground troops in lightly defended airspace. The addition of an air-launched decoy could improve the P-8's survivability against enemy air defenses. But adding these new munitions doesn't necessarily alter the P-8's role. The Navy uses its planned fleet of at least 177 Poseidons for maritime patrol, anti-submarine warfare, anti-ship strikes and overland surveillance, using a secretive, underslung radar. The APS 154 littoral surveillance radar system transforms the P-8 into a surface surveillance platform similar to the U.S. Air Force's E-8 radar plane. U.S. Navy P-8s were part of NATO's response after Russia in October 2019 sortied 8 submarines at one time into the cold waters of the Barents and Norwegian seas. Between October 25 and November 7, 2019, the NATO planes flew more than 40 missions. 6 Norwegian Air Force P-3s, 4 U.S. Navy P-8s and a Canadian Air Force CP-140 flew from Andøya in Norway. At least one additional P-8 flew from Keflavik in Iceland. A French Navy Atlantic II patroller staged from Prestwick Airport in Scotland. Flight trackers followed the patrol planes as they flew hundreds of miles into the North Atlantic to fly racetrack patterns over the apparent locations of Russian submarines. The patrol planes used their radars, sonar buoys and magnetic detectors to find subs on and below the waves. The U.S. fleet has not developed tactics for employing the P-8 as a true bomber. Nor is the relatively lightly built P-8 necessarily suited for hard flying in dangerous environments. In adding new munitions, the Navy could make the P-8 better at what it already does. And in a way, the fleet simply is replacing existing capabilities. The patrol version of the P-3, which has served since the 1960s, is on schedule to leave the fleet in 2023. The Navy over the decades has added a wide range of weapons to the P-3, including torpedoes, anti-ship and land attack missiles, unguided rockets, cluster bombs and even Maverick anti-tank missiles. Other countries have planned or completed similar modifications to their maritime patrol planes. The Royal Air Force in the early 2000s weighed adding laser-guided bombs and land attack cruise missiles to its planned fleet of Nimrod MRA-4 patrol planes. But London cancelled the Nimrod in 2010, leaving the RAF without a maritime patrol plane until the first of a batch of 9 new P-8s arrived in the United Kingdom in 2019. It's unclear whether the RAF plans to add to its Poseidons the same weapons the US Navy wants to add to its own planes. The French Navy meanwhile has modified some of its twin-prop Atlantic II maritime patrol planes to carry laser-guided bombs. The US Navy says that it is interested in dramatically expanding the arsenal of weapons that its P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft are capable of carrying. The service says that it wants to start by integrating the AM-158C long-range anti-ship missile, or LRASM, on the planes, but then potentially move on to add various air-launched naval mines, precision-guided bombs, and the miniature air-launched decoy, or MOLD, to the available loadout options. There has been a debate within the Navy for years about giving the P-8s the ability to employ more types of munitions and other stores, which could turn these aircraft into arsenal ships of sorts, capable of performing missions beyond anti-submarine, anti-surface warfare, and search and rescue, something the war zone has been following for years now. Naval Air Systems Command, NAVAIR, issued a notice on the federal government's new central contracting website beta.sam.gov, asking for contractors to submit information about their capabilities for integrating LRASM and the various other weapons onto the P-8A LRASM, which is derived from the AM-158B Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile Extended Range JASSM-ER Land Attack Cruise Missile, entered service last year on the Navy's FA-18EF Super Hornets, as well as the U.S. Air Force's B-1B Bone bombers. The Naval Air Systems Command, NAVAIR, PMA 290, Program Office for P-8A aircraft, is soliciting information from industry to determine potential contractors who have the skills, experience, qualifications, and knowledge required to perform aeromechanical and software integration of the Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile, LRASM, onto the P-8A aircraft, the contracting notice reads. There is also the potential to include, but not limited to, the following additional weapon systems. 500 pounds to 2,000 pounds class of joint direct attack munition, JDAM, variants, Mk62 63rd 65 mines, small diameter bomb, SDB-2 miniature air-launched decoy, MOLD, bomb rack unit BRU 55, and Universal Armament Interface, UAI. Engineering tasks for this effort includes, but are not limited to upgrades to the Boeing Tactical Open Mission Systems, TOMS, and Stores Management Computer, SMC, software and interfaces, test planning, execution, data reduction, and reporting on flight test efforts. The P-8AS armament options consist of the AM-84D Harpoon anti-ship missile and the Mk-54 air-launched lightweight torpedo. The Navy is also already working on integrating Mk-54s with the high-altitude anti-submarine warfare weapon capability (HAWC) kit onto the aircraft, which you can read about in more detail in this past war zone piece. HAWC adds pop-out wings and tail fins to the standard torpedoes, which will allow Poseidon crews to employ them from a standoff range. The stealthy LRASM, which has been in development since 2014, is an obvious choice to give the P-8 as a more capable standoff anti-surface warfare weapon over the aging Harpoon, and has been a planned addition to the aircraft's arsenal for some time. The possible addition of the Mk62, 63, and 65 naval mines, collectively known as the Quickstrike family, which you can read about in depth in this past war zone story, also makes good sense. The Navy has been